Good evening. We'll call this regular meeting of the Fayette County APC to order. Please rise for the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to take this opportunity before we get started to welcome everybody here tonight. I guess I assume most everybody's here for the same reasons, and we'll be getting to that in our agenda. So we'll start out with roll call.
Okay, roll call. Since Beverly Rood is unable to be here this evening, I'm wearing another hat tonight. Okay, Mr. Mackey?
Where's it?
Okay, Mr. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Munson?
Present.
Mr. Naylor?
Present.
Mr. Price?
Here.
Mr. Free?
Present.
Mr. Robb?
Here.
Mr. Drew?
Here.
Mr. Westling?
Present.
And me, Mr. McDaniel, I am present, and this is Beverly Rood. The secretary is absent this evening.
And we do have a quorum. Are there any minutes?
Now, if Bev wasn't able to provide minutes, being
Okay.
under the weather.
Moving on to the zoning code updates. We're preparing for a public hearing on the non-conforming lots amendment discussion.
Okay. Now, I think you'll notice one thing that is different, since this is meant to apply to lots located in the corporate limits of the city of Connersville. And those small lots really aren't going to apply to outside of the county. So I left as part A, that was the language was already in place, and that will apply to those areas outside of the corporate limits of the city of Connersville. I added that. Lot was measured. At least 75% of that required by the terms of this chapter are legal non-conforming lots and meet the minimum requirements in areas served by public sewer. Existing lots may not be subdivided to increase the number of substandard non-conforming lots. Lots joined to create a larger building parcel may be re-subdivided provided that the resulting new parcels are comprised of the original lots as originally platted. Okay, so any questions on that section from board members? And the only thing I can think of with that is make reference to any lots, without public water, public sewer. They must meet the minimum requirements for the Fayette County Health Department. I missed thinking about that previously, but I think that's a minimum of 1 acre for a lot with.
That's stated.
Okay.
It talks about it up there in the top paragraph.
Okay, all right. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, all right, B, lots located within the corporate limits of the city of Connersville. All right, 1, applies only to lots located within the corporate boundaries and existent at the date this amendment is formally adopted by the Connersville City Council. Existing lots may not be subdivided to increase the number of substandard non-conforming lots. Lots joined to create a larger parcel may be subdivided provided that the new parcels are comprised of the original lots as platted. Okay, number 3, non-conforming lots on which the dwelling with the minimum required square footage for a single-story dwelling, 1,080 square feet of living space and footprint of living space, footprint, or a 2-story dwelling, 1,080 square feet and a minimum ground floor living space area of 720 square feet. Okay, 4, the lot shall be a sufficient size to provide sufficient square footage for the required 2 off-street parking spaces for a single-family dwelling as per the zoning code parking standards. 5, front yard setbacks. The front yard setback as per district requirement Exception, distance of front foundation line on block frontage closest to city lots with 2 road frontages, no closer than 20 feet from the edge of the road surface. Structures may not be placed within city road right-of-way and must be no closer than 5 feet from the edge of city road right-of-way. 6, impermeable surfaces may not exceed, I should say, permeable surfaces, impermeable surfaces may not exceed the permissible lot coverage as per the zoning code. So, like I said, there's some changes right there, some things I thought might be suitable for adding a few little things to this. So any Plan Commission members have any comments or questions about this?
I have one.
Sure.
With the 2 off-street parking spots, is with these non-conforming lots, is that going to still make them non-conforming?
Okay,
By the time you get the house?
all that is right there, because all that's required is on residential lots, you can also have the gravel versus the concrete, but we still have to take into consideration with the amount of, impermeable surface. Now, the possibility might be if it's in a neighborhood where, say if the lot has never had on-street parking, or if it has if it has an area where there's sufficient on-street parking, to use the on-street parking, because the city of Connersville does not prohibit overnight parking for residential uses. So that may get to that concern of yours.
Okay.
Yeah, because the 200 square feet, if we take into consideration for the parking, that could push up the actual, reduce the number of lots that can actually be brought back into a taxable status.
That's what I was wondering about.
Okay. Okay, and I'll work.
I'm assuming, once again, they could come to the BZA for variance on the parking space.
Yeah, they can always do that, but of course, since what we're trying to do within the.
We're trying to keep.
We're trying to minimize the necessity of people coming for different variances for the parking. So I think, that might be a reasonable alternative, is to allowing the, because a lot of these are going to still use the on-street parking anyway.
Right, and that's.
Bill, the existing lots may not be subdivided to increase the number of substandard non-conforming lots. What's a non-conforming lot?
Okay, a non-conforming lot is one that doesn't meet the actual minimum standards in the zoning code. Okay, because once this was announced, there's one gentleman who has called multiple times about this. There's an existing lot that meets the requirements, and this gentleman wants to subdivide it so he can get 2 smaller lots, but it's already a conforming lot as is. So he would go out of his way to create 2 non-conforming lots instead of just one normal-sized lot. So the idea is to keep that from happening, because the more smaller lots that you have, the more dwellings, then this becomes a potential issue for a problem for the Connersville drainage.
This only impacts lots that are already created, that are that exact same size the moment we pass this ordinance.
Yeah.
You can you can't then make a lot smaller in the future. Does that make sense? Just there are some built lots right now that we have that are not buildable,
Some of the older homes.
and this is allowing them to be built upon.
But I am looking at a lot right now, working on one, that has frontage on a street and an alley to the side. Now it's conforming, but you could build a house here and a house here with access and everything else. Each lot may not be non-conforming, but it's certainly suitable for housing.
But if those 2 lots, if you separated that, they both may be conforming lots. You just could not create 2 non-conforming lots, or you could not create 1 conforming lot and 1 lot that's not.
Well, if you separate them, they may not be the size that you want, but they would be both accessible with an alley here and a street here. You're both accessible for each one to be usable as a dwelling.
This would not permit that if those are non-conforming lots. If you guys want to look into that, I mean, yeah. but
I mean, it has,
You've-
it
you've
has
also gotta be
sliding
careful.
on two sides.
You've got
the
to be
lot does.
careful of when does that end? Can you put 4 houses on that lot? You know, I mean, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't think you'd want to do that unless you want your neighbor in your backyard.
Yeah. And as with other things, there is a means of relief through the variance from development standards.
Okay.
But, I mean, that's one that be, in my mind, would be appropriate if we're using a variance, but we're trying to get rid of a lot of the variances for things that are kind of, problematic. Yeah, the ones that we've gotten over, particularly over parking in the past and some other items.
Does that go for mobile home lots also?
Okay, the way it's set up under, actually goes back to federal law under, with HUD, standards for HUD. Now, as long as, unless it's prohibited under a subdivision, covenants. Okay, any lot that you can allow another dwelling, stick-built dwelling to go on under federal requirements is you have, as long as a manufactured home, modular home meets the minimum square footage requirements in your zoning code, and also then is placed on a foundation, you have to allow them. So it's a different status. Now there's been some weakenings with the local control over mobile home parks. So that was done, I think, last year's legislature. I don't have the exact language in my head, but it's really removed because mobile home parks, there's very little local authority that you have. Basically, it's can it go there? Is this a good location if someone wants to put in a new mobile home park or make a larger one? What's taken away is, I know the size, the minimum size standard, that's been changed also. That's been taken away at the state level. So, for example, is the one thing you could possibly do then in a mobile home park, if they want to shift it over then to allowing tiny homes, they could do something like that. But now tiny homes, as we talked about in the past, is tiny homes are not a rec vehicle. So it can be either stick built, but it can be brought in, but they're required to be built to the 1 and 2 family residential standards. Okay, anything else, anybody?
Any other questions on this?
Okay.
I would entertain a motion to go ahead and move this to public hearing then?
And you
As
know,
presented.
and make sure that we include in that motion about me making the change for the language for the allowing on-street parking as a substitute.
With that language in there to be added.
I would make that motion with the on-street parking language added.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
You seconded? Okay.
That we do proceed to public hearing with this amendment to our ordinance.
We can do this with a voice vote.
It would be for the July
Yeah, the July, I think it's the...
July 27th meeting,
Yeah, July 27th, yep.
or a regular meeting. Is there any other discussion or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. We'll
Okay.
move on to,
Now, I apologize for not being able to get this in a usable form to you before this evening, as far as the off-street parking and loading. So there's still some things I need to review. There's still a couple of things I need to compare with what's in Fayette counties and to see what I still prefer, the actual language. And then there's still some things that for when we have the discussion at the July meeting of things for us to take in and out. But what I will also do in the meantime is I will look at the, as the opportunities occur, I will get back to working on this, do my reviews, making some other changes I think that are probably suitable for the next month.
okay.
Now, what I do have is, now on page 8 and 9, I've identified some of the things that, from the locals, from our current one, parking rules, to just check against those with the new one, see what might be suitable to keep, what isn't, and some of these just might be different language from the new one. And I think the new one has a lot of, I think it isn't as awkward, some of the phrasing. But in the meantime, if board members is, you don't have to wait until next month to get any comments to me on this, as always.
Okay.
So, anything with this that gives you concerns, well, we will deal with it. And we'll deal
And
with
we're
it.
shooting for an August
Oh.
24th public hearing for that parking.
Yep.
So, if you have any questions or concerns with Bill, please get with him between now and the July meeting.
Yeah.
So
So,
that he can hopefully have that pretty well finalized for
yeah,
July.
so anything you can get to me before then would make it easier than to have for you in July. And then hopefully won't need as many changes or edits to the next draft. Okay, I do not have anything additional related to the reformatted zoning code. I don't have no additional progress made.
Okay. All right. Moving on to item 5, the consideration to set a special APC public hearing meeting for a potential solar farm moratorium. I understand that there was some discussions at a past commissioners meeting. This request for us to consider this come from the Board of Commissioners. Is there any discussion to the having a public hearing for a potential moratorium? From the board, first of all, any questions, comments to the request that maybe we can direct to Dale as commissioner?
You're on the spot, buddy.
Start of my life.
Okay.
Gary, one thing I'd like to, I think there's some information that needs to be brought forward from this group that they did bring to the commissioners meeting that I think possibly this board should hear, and it might help with making a decision one way or the other.
Who has the final decision on moratorium? Do we or
Okay.
the commissioners?
So wait a second. We're not deciding tonight whether to have a.
I know we're not.
Tonight, we're deciding whether or not we're going to set this for a public hearing to
Exactly.
decide whether or not we're going to have a moratorium. We would then make a recommendation to the commissioners make the final say. It's just, we're essentially passing
So
a
we
new
want
ordinance.
to, we want
Will
to
that go to the
determine whether
city
we want to give the
council as well,
commissioners more
Or
time
just the commissioners?
to learn about what the
I think
issues
it would
are.
just strictly really be the commissioners.
If we recommend whatever,
Because there's,
or if we
there's
pass
nothing really
it and
set up within
say
the
so many
city.
months, can they change
Yeah,
it and say, in their meeting and say, we don't need 18 months, we only need 3 to 6 months? If they decide to do a
They can,
moratorium?
yes, just like a
They-
regular ordinance, the
Yeah.
commissioners essentially are the ones that decide what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't want to,
They can force something through, we can't.
yeah, absolutely.
The commissioners aren't asking for it, are they? They're just asking us to
consider.
approve it.
To consider.
Yeah,
Give them
consider it.
opportunity
They're not the ones asking for it.
And the important thing is that by just agreeing to set a date does not imply general approval from the members of the Area Plan Commission for a moratorium. I think that's an important thing to understand.
You know, we are not deciding tonight whether we're in favor or against a moratorium. The only thing we're discussing tonight, are we willing to have a public hearing so that we can hear facts? Facts can be presented to this board for or against having a moratorium put on.
Yep. And with the public hearing it's the floor is open to anybody who wishes to speak
In the public
in a
hearings.
public hearing.
Yes.
That's part of the reason for we call it a public hearing, is people get to speak at the public hearing. Now, one thing I do want to see, okay, as far as timing, since if it is decided to move forward with, okay, holding a hearing, I checked on some things now as far as dates. Okay, now, it's the next possible day to get published in the newspaper is Saturday. Getting something to them in a form that between myself and Mr. Westling can have in place, we know it's going to meet the legal requirements for a hearing for a public hearing for moratorium, will be in place then in the ad that is placed. So we need some specific information that'll be such as, what is the purpose? What is the public purpose? What is the length of time? You know, what is the sunset date? Now, self-published on Saturday, the first day available would be July 4th. Okay, Wednesday, the 5th, and Thursday, the 6th would be possible, but that's only if we can actually get it published in the Saturday paper.
Well, July 5th is the county council meeting night.
Yeah, oh yeah, July 5th, yeah. So you also have July 5th at the county council. So Thursday, the 6th would be possible, but it's a long shot to get it published in time for that. Now, the next date to actually get to the paper, so to meet any type of, the 10 days of publication before the meeting, would be on the Tuesday paper. But once again, that's still not leaving much time to try to work on the actual language to make sure everything is legal within in the hearing, and then what the actual hearing, what will be the determination at the hearing. So let's see. So if it's published the 27th, the first possible day would be July 7th. That's a Friday. I don't think I'm not inclined to agree with having a public meeting and a public hearing on
So the
Friday.
week of
Does
the
nobody
10th.
show up?
What's that?
Because nobody show up, that's a good night.
That depends upon one's perspective.
The week of the 10th is more realistic.
Yeah, the week of the 10th. So, and also is because the reason we have Thursdays for our area plan commissions is because it works in with Mr. Westling's schedule. So if it would be then we can do the 13th, and that would grant, okay, Thursday, July 13th, that would grant the area plan commission, okay, us, Mr. Westling and myself, an extra couple of days next week to get the language in place.
What night's that on?
Thursday.
Thursday, July 13th is a Thursday, our usual meeting day.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'd be the second Thursday instead of the fourth Thursday of July. And for July 13th, if that's what the choice is, that the last day for the publication would be Saturday, July 1st. And that is more than doable.
I would think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think we shoot for the 13th.
Yeah.
Give them some time to look at it.
Okay.
Give us some time to look over stuff.
Yeah, well, well,
seem to be in favor of,
yeah, let's get a vote on the request.
Need a motion?
Do we know anything about the moratorium? How long they're wanting you to do it for?
Well, it's up to the commissioners, regardless what we ask, the commissioners can decide what they need.
Yeah, well, I guess the members of the plan commission, if you have thoughts on the length of time.
and all that can be
Yeah.
fact gathered in the public hearing. That's the
Because those
purpose
can
of the
change,
public hearing.
because that can change at the public hearing. Those edits can be made as far as
At
the
that
actual
point, the
time.
purpose for the moratorium we given also, right?
Yeah, but we still have to have some kind of rough idea. Well, more than a rough idea, but we still need a number of months and then the purpose for it. Now, the date itself, that the sunset date on it, that can easily be changed at the public hearing based on anything that comes up in the conversations from members of the community.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to advertise for a public hearing.
So
Second?
There's been a motion made and seconded
Okay.
that we do advertise. Darrell
Darrell?
and Bob, I think.
we'll do it July 13th at 6 p.m. like normal.
Yep.
We're gonna do it here. even though the
Yeah.
crowd may be large?
Yeah, well, that would really make it difficult for me because then I'd have to do more effort to find some place that, an available venue.
That's fine.
And I don't think we'd
Rotate
really
it out.
necessarily want to have it at the, yes,
Miller Building.
yeah. Because I don't think we'd want to have it at the Miller Building because that's makes it difficult for Bev to get accurate minutes.
It's hard to hear in there. We had those other ones. You
Exactly,
can't-
so, yeah.
All right, there's been a motion made and seconded that we do move forward with advertising for a public hearing in reference to a solar farm ordinance, or solar farm moratorium for July 13th at 6 PM. Is there any other discussions on that?
If we vote no, this takes it out of the hands of commissioners and kills any moratorium. Is that what
No,
it doesn't?
the commissioners can
Still one. Okay, so we're not making a decision for them then? Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, because the Area Plan Commission just
Recommend. We recommend.
legally, they're the body that has to hold the public hearing. Just as with anything else, you could say no to a public hearing, give an unfavorable recommendation, or you can give a favorable recommendation. Doesn't mean that the commissioners have to agree.
And the commissioners have asked us to do this, correct?
Yeah.
We don't know why, when, how, or who, but we're going to ask to do it.
Which is the importance of me working with Mr. Westling to make sure we have good language.
I have to give it a
Is there?
Yeah,
So I would propose, after we make this motion, then you make a motion on what you think the rough ideas should be. And I think public health and safety is an argument. I think I'd probably make it a year. We can adjust that to double that or shorten it or whatever. But that's what I would do. That way we can put that in the notice, we've got something to go on, and then we can adjust that at the public hearing.
Okay, all right. But we can discuss that
after this.
after the motion's
Yep.
cleared?
Yeah.
All right. Is there any other questions or discussions? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. All opposed, the same. Motion carries. We will advertise for a public hearing. As Jeff has mentioned, we need some details for our advertisement for the public hearing. Some suggestions here on why the potential moratorium.
Is this out of line to ask Mrs. Naylor to give us why they're thinking we need a moratorium?
Okay, well, that can also be done at the public hearing too.
I just soon do that at the public hearing.
Okay, that's fine.
Because that's what the public hearing is specifically for.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering about, but for here to give some
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
so,
And then there'd be the opportunity at the commissioners meeting to speak again.
okay.
Discussions in the commissioners meeting from the commissioner?
Well, I guess you'd say there wasn't a whole lot of discussion amongst the commissioners about it, other than we listened to them. They had some very good things that they did bring up that I think needs to be looked at a little more seriousness. And I think we need a little more time to be able to look at this stuff. They brought up some issues about the ground, I'll call it contamination. I might have the wrong wording there, but it's just stuff that I think we need to look a little more serious into of what this could potentially do to the neighborhood, to the ground, to the area. And I guess we go back to the public safety situations.
That falls under that rubric.
So that's, I'm kind of agreeing that we need to look in this a lot harder.
Was this presented at the last commissioners meeting?
Yes.
And
Okay.
what,
The public safety will cover a broad
Yes.
spectrum of things, so I think that's the easiest probably for us to advertise it as,
Yeah.
or the reasoning behind. I mean, because Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, our final findings
Might be something.
could be something different, and we could change it at that meeting.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So we're not locked in.
Well, it won't kill birds, that's for sure.
Okay.
Okay, now, what the members of the Plan Commission may wish to do is I recommend that when you have the opportunity to check out on Channel 3 with their YouTube state channel and watch for what was discussed at the commissioners' meeting on this past Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then, do we want to advertise it for a year, the length as a year, or?
Jeff, we can change that, right? I mean,
Yes. It's just like any ordinance. I mean, all we're doing is creating an ordinance, so to speak, okay? So we create ordinances all the time, right? Just like Bill was discussing earlier, we go to a public hearing, there are tweaks we make, and then we pass the ordinance with those suggested
tweaks.
changes. Correct.
All right. And then, in turn, then it goes to the
Then it goes to the
commissioners.
commissioners, correct.
For final
Who could then
approval.
change it, send it back to us, could accept it as true form, or they could reject it.
Okay.
Okay, I do have a question that concerns courtesy. Now, not only will it be advertised, but my opinion is we probably owe the possible developers the opportunity to give them a direct heads up. I think would that courtesy be appropriate?
I mean, you can do whatever you want, but it's a public hearing, it's being noticed
Well-
properly. I would be completely shocked and in awe if they have no clue that this is going on.
Well, I was just saying, I'm sure they would be, but
Right.
it's the,
I mean, it'll be advertised for them to see the advertisement as well as anybody else.
yeah, it's like I said, is the, well, let's just, I try to
Okay, is there
take
anything
everybody into consideration.
else to add to that? All right,
Public health and safety, 12 months, okay.
then we'll move on to the director's report
Okay,
then.
do we need the, take a motion and a vote on that?
You
It
want
would
a
be wise.
motion?
It'd probably be wise.
I'll entertain a motion then for it to be advertised for public safety reasons and for the length of up to 1 year.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded. Is there any other questions or discussions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. So you and Jeff will get that language together and
Yeah, we'll work on that at the start of the
and
week.
get
Yeah.
that advertised then.
Okay,
So then having the special meeting on the 13th, then that would go to the commissioners on the meeting of the 25th.
yeah, we'll be the fall, try to get it there for the,
Actually, their meeting's the 18th,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'd be the,
yeah, so we'll get,
so it'd just be the next week, next Tuesday.
Yeah.
The timing works out pretty well.
yeah. So, yeah, all right, so,
all right. We'll move on to the director's report then. Any questions for Bill on it?
oh, yeah, I think related to this is that let the plan commission members that I am back in the field now. I'm doing all the inspections. It's, some job sites are a little iffy, a little dodgy, but I'm still back in the field doing these, and I'm back to doing my, I'm trying to, as much as possible, the inspections in the afternoon from 1 to closing time. And because with everything else that I need to do, of course, in the mornings, it's always emails, and then responding to emails and then also messages. The other thing is that morning is actually when I do my best work on writing, when I'm freshest, mentally freshest. But,
Okay. Are there any questions for Bill on the
Before,
monthly report?
before we leave, don't open it back up to me, will you, before we?
Yes. All right. I'll entertain a motion to accept his report.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion by Dale and seconded by Brian to accept the report as given. Any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Jeff, you have something to add?
I do.
Before we adjourn?
I do. I'll be out of state on the 13th. You guys are welcome to do it
How
without me.
convenient.
You guys are welcome to do it without me, but
You just
I
booked
figured
it.
that might cause some panic, so, I mean, I can't.
Well, it's good to know well ahead of time.
I'll be out of state and I can't avoid it,
Well,
so.
I won't be here on the 27th either, because Kent Black's at the state fair, and I don't want to go through a divorce.
So, but we can still talk about days that week. I will be here the 12th.
Oh, okay.
So it's
So,
a Wednesday. I don't know if that's awkward for everyone else or.
Could you switch the dates?
It's all about you.
Bill and myself.
Huh?
No,
It
no.
doesn't have to be. I mean, I'll be happy to miss it. I'm sure you would. I'll be happy.
But, no, it's the,
The 12th.
yeah, because Brian,
so it's just a one day.
okay,
I mean,
so,
it's-
Yeah,
there
I
isn't
literally
anything
leave
you're involved
13th,
with the
the morning
city
of 13th.
that has anything on Wednesdays, correct? Okay, so it should be available then on the 12th for the,
Me and Bill are on duty that
I'll
day,
run out of me.
okay.
Oh.
Okay,
so we can go back to the 11th,
that's Tuesday.
and then that's not enough time.
Anytime that week, I think.
Yeah,
If we get it in the first, the 11th is 10 days.
yeah.
And I don't know that I can be there.
12th will give us the extra day.
School board.
Yeah.
Can we go back and, since we've already passed this for the 13th though, can we move it?
Yeah.
Okay.
President could probably move it by himself, quite honestly.
Okay.
But I'd like to get it here on the record. When does that mean you have to get the 10th in, though, the 10-day notice in?
Yeah.
I don't know when the newspaper runs.
Yeah, but, well, the newspaper is, okay,
How late do you guys work on the 12th? Is that
24 hours.
Yeah, that's the whole 12th, right? Isn't that what it was?
yeah, so we have to have the 10 days of notice. Now, what required with that, the 10 days of notice is okay, it's published from Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay, so it is published Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
We could do it the 17th. I'm just trying to get it in before the 18th,
Well,
right?
that's what I'm.
We could do it the 17th after the city council meeting.
Is that on Monday?
You know,
What time's the city council?
city council meeting's at 7 and they're usually done by 7:30.
Promise.
So, I mean, we could do 8. We could do 8. Is that too late?
Well,
We
for
could do it at
folks?
6 too, and then it'd be out, the council come in after we go.
I don't
We're
think
more
they'd
important
appreciate
anyway.
that.
Well, what we can do then is if we get the language, get it in, then the 8th.
I will say this, so far, everybody's been really respectful about not just coming up and repeating 2 minutes worth of
Yeah.
words, right? I mean, everybody's been really
Be
respectful.
efficient.
I don't expect it to be a 2.5-hour hearing, I just really don't. I mean, I'm not saying it won't be, but everybody's been people have turned out in numbers, but everybody on every side has been very consistent, and they just don't get up and repeat the same exact thing. So,
Can we go Tuesday at 5?
yeah. Wait, Tuesday? You mean Monday at 5?
Tuesday at 5, I mean, we'd be in plenty of time before the school board meeting.
Oh,
The 11th?
The 11th, yes.
The 11th at 5.
Yeah, I can't do that, but I'm one person, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm only one person. The 13th works for every single person in the room except for me, so I just can't change it. Huh?
You kind of hold some weight.
Not really. I mean, I've told you guys what the law is. You guys are the ones that make the decision. I'm the only one who doesn't vote.
I don't.
No, that's true.
But I think there could be some questions come up that you may need to answer.
Yeah,
For or against, you know.
Yeah. On the 17th at 8. I know that sounds really late,
I'm good.
but I just don't think folks are going to be here until 11 o'clock. I just don't.
If we are, we are.
Can we move it to the commissioner's office room? And move it up earlier?
Could you move it to where?
over to the commissioner's office.
Well, he's gotta be at the
Well,
city.
you go be at city council, don't you?
Yeah, but I could miss that for this, but having said that, I don't know that that room's gonna be very,
Ain't gonna be
Very
very
Well,
good.
well, we tried that once, and because of where all the electronic gear is up front on the left hand, on your right hand side, it doesn't, there's insufficient space to have the entire plan commission sitting there.
Well, if we didn't have to put in the paper, everybody's here tonight, it'd be great to get it down.
Yeah, let's
Since
just.
that's nice people, it's,
Let's just do it after the city council meeting. Yeah.
I don't know if it would be appropriate for any of us to have any input in this meeting, but part of the request was for an expedited hearing to the extent that that matters.
That's what we're attempting to do.
I know, I'm just saying that if we didn't get it into the paper until July 1st, which is 9 days from now, and then we have to wait the 10 days, part of our concern is that an application may come in and that
these folks are not going to create something that means an application doesn't come in.
grandfathered in. I understand that, but we're just trying to
So,
expedite the hearing.
I understand that. So if we have it before the 18th, there is no possible way to get it to the commissioners before the 18th. It's impossible. It's an impossibility. So as long as we have it before the 18th, there's nothing we can do to expedite it more than that. Because when the commissioners vote on it, until they vote on it, it's not a law,
It's not,
right?
yeah.
So until they vote on it, it's not a law. So as long as we have it before the 18th, because their next meeting's the 4th, and that's not even 10 days from today. I mean, we can't have it that day, right? So we are trying in every way to get it to the commissioners as quick as, in my opinion, that's as expedited as government's ever going to get, right?
And, okay, so,
And again,
so what would be the last date for publishing then for that?
For what?
The, after the city council meeting?
Like not, I mean, we've plenty of time, like the 6th.
Okay, publish.
But we're not going to wait that long. either.
No.
But it's not it's not getting it prepared for the paper. We can't, so let's say tonight we gave it to the paper, right? And they get it in tomorrow. We can't have a hearing before the 4th and get it to the commissioners. Cannot happen, okay? Right? My math's right?
yeah.
Second to, right, can't. So,
The 18th is the soonest it can get to the
right,
commissioners.
and that's pretty, I mean, I appreciate you wanting it to be expedited. I feel like that's pretty expedited, quite honestly. So if they do it, but if we go beyond the 18th, then all of a sudden it's August 1st before it's commissioners.
you know, how
so-
soon can we get it to the paper?
Okay, well, realistically, okay,
Monday?
there's a possibility,
They don't publish till Tuesday.
yeah.
That's okay.
But it's the Monday or Tuesday. But like I said, there's still
Yeah.
things we have to prepare for.
Like I just want people to know, because if we gave it to them tomorrow, they're not publishing it in tomorrow's
So
paper.
that means
No.
if you get it to them by the 29th,
Because now, as I say that on the record, I'm like, well, if it was in tomorrow's paper, then we could technically have a meeting on the 3rd, and it could be on the 4th, but
Ain't gonna
it
happen.
won't be in the paper tomorrow.
And it'd be very difficult to get in the paper for
Commissioners
Saturday
aren't meeting the
also.
4th, are they?
5th.
Right, 5th.
5th,
Right.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm looking at it, I think the 18th, that's the most reasonable way to go about this. So if we have it the 17th that evening, we'll have a decision. It'll be before the commissioners that next day.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna advertise for the 7th, or the 17th, instead of the 13th,
At 8 p.m.
At 8 p.m.
at 8,
17?
At what location? This.
Here.
right here.
That's where we will all get crowded.
There are
They have
TVs.
TVs. out-
Just, are the
out-
TVs
out
outside
hall.
working?
I mean, we're not gonna have 400 people speaking, but there's gonna be a crowd.
Not really, because some's gonna show up on the 12th, there's the 13th, no, not the 17th. That'll be pretty,
Yeah.
I'll get all spread. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, now, the thing that people have to be cognizant of is when they're coming into the building is to not exceed the actual, the fire loads for the rooms and then also the building itself.
That's not on this.
No, what I'm just gonna say is
No, but
because,
the meeting on the 17th does give Bill a week to try to figure out logistically where we could do it otherwise.
yeah, because I don't know where else we could really reasonably do it.
To the high school theater is where I'm thinking.
We could look at the high school if we need to.
The high school theater is
If
probably
you
the
give me
place,
some,
right?
you know,
Auditorium.
if that's what we wanna do,
The auditorium
Yeah,
or
You
the
got some
lecture
pull
hall.
over there, maybe you can make that happen.
we can probably do something.
I think that's what we ought to do.
Okay, yeah, if you could check on that for us tomorrow.
So the high school auditorium,
What's
Do
the
you
lecture
expect a
hall?
crowd bigger than what we got tonight?
You know what? You know what? The interesting thing about
You got
that is if you
cousins
do
and
that,
grandfathers and all
then you
these
could do it
people
at
on-
7. You could do it at 6 or 7. You could
Okay.
actually do it at 6 o'clock on that Monday.
And then you could.
Somebody
still-
bring some chicken.
I could skip the council meeting.
Fine.
So if we could get
so
the
we wanna
auditorium.
do it the 17th at 6.
If possible, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, yeah.
Is that early, or you wanted to get,
No, I think that'll be fun.
okay,
I mean, we'll just have to give them channel 3 so they can be there to set up, and I don't see an issue with that.
Okay. Yeah,
You know,
so,
microphone and stuff like that, so.
yeah.
So the motion will be to have a public hearing July 17th at 6 PM at the high school auditorium.
Do we need to have this broadcast? Is that gonna screw them up, though? Because they gotta be back here at 7, right?
We've done it before.
We'd be okay.
Okay, perfect.
Remember when Bill fell off stage? We've done it before.
We just
I'll
won't
check
do
on
that
it.
again. We just
No, I
won't
don't
let
want
it
to
be
do
on-
that again. I've had 2 knee surgeries since then.
We won't let him sit on stage this time.
well, that's okay, I'll stay off in the wings.
Okay, all right. So if you can
I'll
get with Bill.
you. I'll get with you guys after this meeting, and get some phone numbers.
All right.
Mr. President,
Okay.
I believe we need to make that a new motion. So I'll move the motion to move it to the high school on the 17th at 6 o'clock if the auditorium's available.
If it's available.
If it's not, we'll let you all know.
We're back to here on the
Yes.
17th at 8.
8. If,
You want to include that? Okay. So it gives us a little bit of leeway.
How's your office been?
And there was a second. There's a motion made and seconded that we change the public hearing date to the 17th?
yes.
Yeah, 17th
Either 6 or 8.
at 6 at the auditorium, high school auditorium. If not the high school auditorium, it'd be here at 8 instead. So, watch for the advertisement. Is there any other discussion or questions? Does that fit in everybody's schedule? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Okay, anything else pertaining to that? Or anything else we've discussed tonight? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.